In today's video, I'm going to be ranking every single AFL Guernsey worn in 2025. We have over 100 Guernseys to rank today, with 110 to be exact, and they're all going to be going into 8 different tiers: godly, amazing, great, good, decent, meh, boring, bland, and ugly. So as you can see, we've got all 110. I did this very video last year. We ended up with 100, and it's not too much of a surprise that the amount of Guernsey has gone up again this year. Look, the club's going to find as many ways they can to get as much money out of the fans as possible, and I'm not really blaming them. So this is going to be a pretty difficult task. We are going to be making the judgments mainly based on how I think the Guernseys look aesthetically. If you guys like this sort of content for this time around, let's try and get to 800 likes. And if you're watching this, hit the subscribe button. We're so close to the grand final day, and we're trying to push as much as we can get in terms of subscribers. So check if you've subscribed before we start off this video. I think we're going to start with Adelaide in good. I like Adelaide's design. I think it's pretty solid for most home Guernseys, so that'd be one of the higher ones. Brisbane as well. I'll put it above in good. I'm not the biggest fan of the colour scheme, but it is a little bit unique. It's certainly one of the more unique home designs of any team, because you've actually got the lion. For Carlton and Collingwood, personally, I think they are in one of the lower tiers in terms of like just how they look. They're pretty plain visually, but maybe because there's a little bit of extra history behind these Guernseys. I think for Carlton, I'll put it in meh, but for Collingwood, it is just black and white stripes, so I'm going to leave it in that tier. Essendon, I don't mind the sash. I think we'll put it in decent. It's all right. Fremantle is meh. I don't mind purple, but I really think they should revert back to the anchor. It looks a lot nicer. Geelong's is also pretty boring and black. It's just vertical stripes. Gold Coast. Now it's grown on me a little bit. Everyone, knows how sort of unpopular the rebrand was for Gold Coast. I still don't like how it is red on red. You can go and have an argument with it for a good bloody hour if you want about that. It's a meh for mine. It's got a little bit more than it would if it was just a Geelong v Collingwood Guernsey. But to be honest with you though, I think it looks worse than a Geelong and Collingwood Guernsey. We've seen these two Guernseys around for ages. So feel free to put an ugly then. I'm happy with that. GWS, yeah, decent. It's okay. Hawthorn, you put it as well in boring and bland. I think just because of the colour scheme is not as great. Melbourne is it's in decent. It's a decent jumper, but a lot of these are aesthetically just basic. North Melbourne, same as Collingwood and Hawthorn. Port Adelaide, probably higher than Carlton and Freo. I think it's all right. It's meh. Again, I don't really like the V's. I think they could be due for a redesign. I don't mind Richmond's. They can be put up in decent. St Kilda, it is also probably decent for mine. It's just stripes, but there are 3-panel stripes, so you don't mean to get many teams with 3 panels. Sydney and West Coast are the first 2 teams I'm going to put up in grade because they are unique to their team, and I don't mind the colour scheme. I like the colour scheme quite a bit. In fact, we are going to bump up Brisbane's. I think they can all be up a tier, as we'll fix the amazing tier. I don't think any home Guernseys are necessarily amazing, and I'm going to put the Bulldogs in good. I just really like the colours, mainly the blue stands out really nice, and the hoops. Probably a terrible ranking for the homes, but we'll move through now to Adelaide in the Clash kits, and I'm already putting this up in amazing, potentially godly. In fact, we are going to put up in godly. First one in godly. I love this design from the Crows. I've always been a huge fan of Adelaide and their Guernsey designs, and I think the rebrand suits really well for this. I like the red, and the 2 stripes in the middle I think work nicely. The Crow, everything about it, really nice. I've also been a big fan of the Brisbane one. I don't think it's quite as nice as the Adelaide one, but it's got the Fitzroy colours. I really like the red. The colours for this one, they're so poignant. I do really like it. They pop out a lot. Brisbane Bears. Now, this one was actually their away one they used in the Q clashes for the Lions. Now, I don't know when the last time they used this was, but it's very unique. But I'm going to put it in good. It's not amazing. I do like the home one a little bit better, but I'm actually going to put it in good. I don't mind this one. I think it's a little bit creative. Carlton's for mine, it is also kind of in meh, to be honest with you. There isn't really much of a change. They need to revert to the sky blue design because they are the navy blue, so bring back the blue. Collingwood's away, add a little bit more to this Collingwood. The white seems a little bit off. The colour seems a little bit more creamier, and you've got like the little V's, which do represent feathers. I don't love it, but it is a little bit like creative, so I'll put it in meh. It's an alright Guernsey. Fremantle's, to me, it's pretty much just man. Sometimes because it's an away design, I think it looks cooler because I haven't seen it being worn as often, but ultimately it's the same thing, just in white. So it's just in meh for mine. Essendon's I'm going to put in good. I think it's, top of good. I like this one. I like the red, the just how much it splashes out, the colour scheme, and it really is just the inverse, but I just think it looks cooler the other way around for the Essendon Guernsey, so I'm going to have it there. Now, just quickly, before we move on, I just realized with this Essendon one, I put the wrong Guernsey in. Now, you guys might not know this, but these 3 Guernseys on the screen are considered all away Guernseys for 2025, but they really shouldn't be classified that. All they are just the home Guernseys, but are called away designs because of the different sponsor. We're not including these 3 in this tier maker, but Essendon, Fremantle, and Gold Coast technically have different designs, so if anyone wanted to point that out before I got the chance to, there's no need to do that anymore. Geelong, now, I know it is kind of like basic and all, but I think it's decent. I genuinely think it's decent. I think it's a decent design. They should wear this more, apart from just wearing it against North Melbourne. Gold Coast away, I actually think it's good. I like just the colour balance. And the pink is amazing. The pink is so cool, and more clubs should do this, because it does remind you of sort of like Miami Heat days when they used to wear the pink, even though I don't bloody follow NBA. GWS is regular. It is just plain orange and white at the end of the day, but I do for some reason like it more than the home, but just by a little bit, so we can put it up a little bit more. Now, I really don't know where to have this one, because they used to have the really ugly white box on the back of the design that sort of put me off it, and I still am not a big fan of the color scheme. I do like the darker shade. It's always been an ugly design for me, to be honest with you. And I know Hawthorn fans might not be appreciative of this. Same with this one. Like, I'm going to just put it in meh. Hawthorn need to just do a little bit better with some of their Guernseys, because I'm not a massive fan so far of some of these. Melbourne's away. I'm going to put it in great. Just the shade of blue stands out to me. It always has been a fan favourite, so I'm putting that high. And this one's always been a fan favourite for many in terms of Guernsey collecting and just aesthetics. Like North Melbourne, it's a perfect design, a perfect jumper, the bounding roo. There's a reason why this was a home Guernsey for so long for North Melbourne. Port Adelaide's away took me a while to find an image of the away jumper. I think you have a few designs if you actually look into the imprints a bit more. But Macron are a pretty crappy manufacturer in my opinion. But I think the away one actually looks a little bit nicer, to be honest with you. So I'm going to have it in decent. Richmond, I'm going to put this also in the good. In fact, I'm going to bump it up to great because of the yellow. Really nice. It stands out. Whenever they wear this, yes, it reminds me of like other things when they wear the yellow, but I think it looks cool at the end of the day. I think St Kilda's just hot cross bun. It's just symbolic of St Kilda, so it deserves to go up. And I just think it looks really nice. And same with the candy stripe design. I probably don't think it's as good as the hot cross bun. It's not as unique, but I might be going against completely what I'm saying with this tier, boring and bland, but there's just the candy stripe. The stripes are thinner. There's nostalgia behind it. Every time the Saints wear it, we seem to play in close games, and just the added extra colors of red, black, and the white stripes, for me, have it in great. Maybe that's controversial, but the candy stripe always has a soft spot in my heart. Sydney's away. I think if we're going off design, it's not as good as the home, but I think just overall, I actually quite like it. We're going to put it in good. West Coast, I've always liked it a little bit more than the home. I don't know, the gold stands out a little bit more for mine. They're both really nice. I am going to put it in amazing. And then the Bulldogs for mine. A couple people might not like it, but I think, it's pretty cool. It's better than their original away one because you've got the Bulldog, and I find it a nice touch. So I'm also going to have this one in the amazing tier. Pretty cool. We move on now to I think with the Anzac designs now. So we'll go through the ones that actually had designs in order. Starting off with Adelaide, and I think this one is in godly. Straight off the bat, perfect. The silhouette of the soldier. We've got the fade and the gradient, the yellow, the red. Brilliant design. It's up there in godly. So Adelaide have 2 there already. You might remember this year I did rank Anzac Guernseys. I've done the same with Indigenous designs as well, but I'm not 100% sure if these are going to be in the exact order as I had them when I did the video. They could be a little bit different. Cullen's is met. It's just the Anzac logo on top of their normal home kit, so can't really have it too much higher. Collingwood's, honestly, it is just in meh. In fact, for a design of Anzac Day, it's going to bump down. It's too boring and bland. I'm not a big fan of this one. Essendon's Poppy Guernsey. Yeah, I think it's just good. I think it's around, this spot here in good. Yeah, Freo's is alright. The story behind it, I'm going to put it in end of good. Geelong's Anzac design, I think it's a little bit simplistic, but I think it's a decent one. Gold Coast's, it's indecent for mine. I'm not the biggest fan of it though. It's a decent design. GWS's, this one was sort of like their army imprint one, and I think having it on the G, I think I've always been a fair fan of this one. So End of good. I don't mind this one. Melbourne's have the little planes coming out. You have to really look into the Guernsey to see it, but when you finalize the details, I also think it's a pretty cool design, so I'm going to have it above the regular one in good. Port Adelaide's pretty bloody ugly. I don't know, it is genuinely just the home design, but I genuinely think aesthetically looking at it, having the names written on the Guernsey like that make it look for some reason uglier. So we're having this one also in ugly, a little bit controversial. Richmond as well, I think same tier as Adelaide, as Essendon. I think it's good. St Kilda's, there's something about the St Kilda one. It is quite plain with the white and the cross, but the back of it as well. In fact, I'll show you guys what it looks like. I'm not massive on buying Guernseys, but when I think it's good enough, and St Kilda always do a fair job of it, you can see the back of it looks nice with the poppy and the names. This one for mine is probably going to go into the amazing tier. It was one of my favorites when I ranked it. It might not have actually ended up on #1 spot. And then West Coast as well. You don't have a great image of it, but I think this one actually goes into the great spot. Maybe, yeah, top of grade above the candy stripe. And then we also finished with the Bulldogs. Also, their Anzac design, I think, is solid. In fact, I think it's more than just solid. I think it's in the great tier. We move now to the Indigenous design. So I hope I haven't missed any. Starting things off with Adelaide's. Adelaide's just bloody awesome. Again, it's just easier to actually see the crow with their normal home one. So I'm going to have that one in amazing, and I'm going to have this one in great. I still think they're both pretty good. Brisbane's, these two are ugly. They are ugly, honestly, like almost objectively speaking, they're ugly, just if you look at it off the top of the screen. So putting them both there, I don't want to be disrespectful. I never do for Indigenous Guernseys, but we're going off the designs and not the biggest fan of the Brisbane one, so fair to put that in that design. Carlton, it's a decent one. There's not much with Carlton you can do really, but it's just decent because of the designs. Now, the Indigenous Guernseys, they should be ranked higher than the normal ones. Unfortunately, Collingwood once again are going to go on boring and bland. It's just, again, for an Indigenous design, there's not enough going on here. You want a little bit more, and it's hard to sort of see what is going on unless you really look at the fine details. So it's a bit bland for mine. Essendon's, it's a decent one. Look, you probably elevates into good, actually. I think it's good. Frio's, kind of like their... I don't like it as much as their Anzac, so I'll put it top of decent. Geelong's Serpent designs, I think the away one looks nicer, if I'm going to be honest. They both look alright. The away one is top of good. This one can go top of decent, the home one. I think that's their home one. I might be wrong, though. This might be their home one. This might be their away. Gold Coast Darwin design... decent, yeah. Not much to it really. Their Darwin design's all right, and I think this is their actual Indigenous design as well. A little bit more than their home design, I guess. It's not as ugly. I guess it's sort of like I don't think it's as good as the Anzac one, so we can have it below that. GWS, I kind of like the way this is like a white design. I like the patterns and all that for this one for the Giants, so I'm going to put it in good. I actually quite like it. Hawthorn's Indigenous, both of them are pretty good, actually. I think I've been shitting on Hawthorn quite a bit in this video, but I think these are two fair enough to put them in amazing. Both of them, honestly, so both can be fair to put in amazing. Melbourne's Indigenous, they do have two. Let's just make sure of that. So they've got their home one and their away one. This is good. I think this one's a good one. I do like these designs quite a lot. And then this one is, again, I like the royal blue. You're going to have it in great. You can chuck it up in great. North Melbourne, you can't really see the kangaroo coming out from the side, but there is a kangaroo coming out from the side, and I think it's pretty good. Let's put it in good as well for North Melbourne. Port Adelaide's, I like their white one more. I'm not really entirely sure what it's supposed to be, but I kind of like the little teal spots of colour coming across from the design. I find that quite a nice addition. So let's put this one in good, and we'll put the Port one in decent, the home one. Just put it in decent. It's all right. Richmond's away, Indigenous. Well, if we got this one in great, really this one should be higher in terms of just looking at it, the eye. I do like the yellow. Fair enough. It is kind of nicer than the away one. St Kilda's Indigenous. Now we had two. We'll start with the home one. The home one was worn, and I think it's just... I tried to take away the bias. I think the design's just almost great. And probably the same with the away one as well. We wore this against Melbourne at Alice Springs, so put them both there as well. Sydney's, I definitely actually kind of like this one a little bit more because of the white background as well. So I'm actually going to have this one top of great. West Coast, some have this one kind of low, but West Coast are going to go up a lot. The West Coast might be low down on the ladder, but in terms of Guernseys, they're up there with the Crows and a couple other clubs. So yeah, West Coast for mine are just about as good as any team. We're going to put this one in amazing. And then the Western Bulldogs, well, they're also an amazing. I think this is a lovely, stunning piece. And to be honest with you, they're probably not in the exact rankings if you see them across the lines, but just to know they're all an amazing for mine. But I don't know if any of them are godly. Maybe they are. And then the Bulldogs also had the white one. I probably don't think it stands out as much, but I still actually would have it in great. I still would have this one in great. They did wear this one against Geelong, which I found it interesting that they wore white against the Cats. Next up, we have the Gatherand designs. Now, this one for the Crows was all right. When you think about it, it was kind of basic. It is just the logo on a normal design. So it's not going to be that high. It'll be good. It's good. This one for the Giants, it's kind of losing its appeal a little bit, but I think this one of all the blackout designs, I still think it's kind of one of the cooler ones out there. So I think it's still fair to put it in the great tier for the Giants. It is good. Next, Guernsey, this one's going in godly. Maybe it's a bit of nostalgic vibes or whatever, but this one's amazing. The demon flaming head. We've got the old retro AFL logo now. I know it's weird. It's all nostalgia. Like this 1995, this was out. It wouldn't be as high because of the logo. I have it higher. I just think the logo makes a couple of it has it honestly go up a tier or two above. Now, St Kilda's Gatherand design. I like this one, to be honest with you. I like the color. Now, this was an 1873 design. I think it is in a way a little bit bland when you think about the stripes and all that. Like, how do I have this in boring and bland? Maybe because I've just seen it so often. We won't be too biased, but I think it's good. I do think it's good. It's unique. The fact I'm going to put up a few spots also about how unique it is. If it's nice and unique, it is nice and high. Sydney's is amazing. I love this. This is almost in bloody godly with how simplistic it is just the outline of the Sydney Opera House, but it's bloody good to say the least. It is really, it's really nice. West Coast is another really cool one. This one I'd buy if I was a fan of the Eagles. I'm also going to have this one an amazing. I think it's just about as good as the pink one for the Suns. And now we move to all of the one-off designs that these clubs have had throughout the years. So Adelaide and Brisbane, I don't think had any. So we start with the Blues and we go with their annual Current and Respects design. And I know it's purely based off designs and all that, but I'm going to bump it up a tier because it's kind of a cool cause. And the numbers are orange. I guess people think it looks like GWS on the playing field, but we'll put the Current Respects in decent. It is just the normal Carlton jersey. Maybe not even as good as it, but I'll put it up because it's Current Respects. I was never a massive fan of the blue out design, and I'm still not. Call me a little bit controversial, but I think it's a bit shit. It is just a bit meh for mine. It is kind of like, yeah, it sort of looks tough when the players are out there wearing it, but it just sort of, for me, I can't really see the emblem. It's hard to make out what the emblem actually looks like out there on the field with it. The Collingwood Retro, we'll have to give Collingwood a little bit of credit. I think this one's quite nice. It is genuinely just their home design with a couple of different changes to the sponsors of the Guernseys, but I'm a sucker for the retro design, so fair enough, Collingwood. You can go up a bit for this one. Essendon have, this was when they wore, I think they wear this every year against Sydney, the Challenge for Kids. Really nice cause. The yellow armband, the yellow sash. We can also put this one up the top. They're good. I'll be nice and generous. Freo. Now, they had a black stealth design where they wore against North Melbourne. I don't know why they wore it then. Yeah, I'm a sucker for stealth designs at times. So, yep, put it great. I'll be okay with that. And this one was their retro Guernsey for 2025. I like this one because, again, it was just their regular design with the anchor. And I think it works well. In fact, I think it works enough for me to put it also in the great tier. I'm a sucker for retro designs at times, and I think this should be reverted back to if you're a Freo fan. And I'm also a big fan of the Starlight as well. This one is a lot nicer than their original home design that I have in Meh. Love the cause. For me, it's going to go also maybe in good. I like the Starlight. They wore this against the Saints. Next up, we have Geelong's Ford design. It is pretty basic, but it's kind of got a little tint of lighter blues tone. So put it up in Meh, I guess. It's we're not going to give it too many flowers. It isn't a Guernsey to help promote the sickness of kids. It's to promote a car company at the end of the day. Now this one as well. First glance, it might just look like the home design, but this is what they wear in sort of I guess, remembrance of like all the regional teams. So they've got like a photo of all of the clubs that the players would used to represent on the Guernsey. I like that a lot. I don't know why other teams haven't done that as well. So the whole appeal of it, I think, is honestly great, because every Guernsey every year is unique. I think I might be wrong. Hawthorn's Anzac Day design. It's just Hawthorn's jersey with an Anzac Day logo. So we're going to put it in bland. The 100-year design, the Hawks. I also think it's kind of basic, but for what it is a little bit sleeker than the Port Adelaide design with the name. So we'll put it in decent then. We'll be generous. Melbourne's Jimmy Stein's design. I didn't realise they wore this until going back and looking at all the Guernseys, but this was worn in round 1 against GWS in honour of Jim Steins, the late Jim Steins, who passed away in 2012, and it was sort of around the same time he did pass away. I like it. You got the 4-leaf clover on the Guernsey because of the Irish resemblance. So I think it's a nice touch. I mean, it is kind of similar to the decent, but I think for the whole appeal of it, it's pretty cool. It's good. North Melbourne had this 100-year design in 2025. They wore it against the Bulldogs, I think. I thought this was really cool. This is probably the best 100-year Guernsey design in the AFL. The colours, just for me, make me want to put it in amazing, and that's what we're going to do. It's really nice. Now, I couldn't find a good photo of this on the Port Adelaide website, so I've got Zay Burnell as the actor for this. This is his favourite ever Guernsey in his life, and I kind of tend to agree. When they wore this against the Saints, I was almost wishing that they won. Nah, I'm taking the piss, but to me, it is honestly godly as well. Zay has a nice taste in AFL designs and Guernseys. They wore this against St Kilda as a retro throwback. Why don't they bring this back permanently? Port Adelaide used to have such sick concepts back in the day. That is retro, and that is awesome. Port Adelaide's prison bar design. Now, to be honest with you, it is kind of just the Collingwood Guernsey. Like, it's genuinely as boring and bland as it gets. Sorry, Port fans. We're going to forget about history for that one. Richmond's Alana and Madeline Foundation design. Now, they wear this every year against Collingwood now. Cool design. You know, I'll put it up in this tier as well because it's kind of cool. It's just like the pink and purple sash. You know, I like these, you know, charity events. This is another mental health for men's mental health. This one is Spuds Games Guernsey. You got the names of the players, and I think the people that wanted to put their name on the Guernsey, as well as the blue cuffs. You know, I probably have this one as well, and good. I think it's good. I like this one. In fact, I'm going to have it a bit higher. Maybe I'm a bit of a St Kilda bias, but I'm a sucker for this one. I think it's cool. This one, I actually want to put this up quite high. This is, you might be looking at this and go, oh, it's just the Sydney Guernsey, but look a little bit closer, and I'm not 100% sure the promotion behind it or what it is for, but I know it's the kids that put hearts, and every single Guernsey is different because of different kids' design of the heart, and I think that is really cool. So I'm actually going to put that in amazing. Yeah. You might want to say, oh, bullshit, mate. Why is that so high? I think the whole cause for that, I think is really unique, and it is my video. You can make yours if you want to. Sydney Pride's design. Now, you can be one to say, oh, you don't agree with the whole Pride round or whatever, but I think in, like, just if objectively speaking, Guernsey-wise, it is, again, if I have the Sydney Swans one in great, this one is just the Guernsey, but with a bit of rainbow and colour. It looks cooler on the eye, doesn't it? So it's also probably going to have to go in great somewhere there. Next up, we have the North Melbourne Good Friday appeal design. I mean, why do they just stop making any effort into making these ones look cool? This is just the design with the Good Friday appeal logo. Give the contract back to the kids to make the designs again. West Coast WA Day. Now, look, it's unique. I have never really made my thoughts on this design as a whole. Black and yellow. On the front of it, I think it looks a whole lot of shit, though, personally. I think UCAT may have made a same post about it, but this is ugly for mine. This is just bloody crap. That wasn't a hit for mine. The Western Bulldogs 100-year Guernsey, bit basic for mine. You do have the 2 flags on the front, a bit of text, but it is basic. But I guess because it is just the Bulldogs Guernsey, it is in the same tier. It's good just because it is I like the Bulldogs home. And I'm not sure what this was. I think this is like a fight to dare sort of design. I'm not sure what this was for, but it was also another little one-off promotional design. I'll put it in good as well. That's the last one. So there you go. All 110 Guernseys fully ranked and loaded. I think most can be fairly satisfied with this list. Like, you can be very much in disagreement with some of these, and let me know down below. But I'm happy with these 5 and godly. I really like the Adelaide away. The North away is always good. The Anzac Adelaide is great. The Melbourne Retro in Gatherand is also great, and I think Port Adelaide's Retro was good as well. They should have worn this one, honestly, for Gatherand. I think every team should try to bring back a retro design for Gatherand. There's no reason why you wouldn't. You're just giving your club a greater chance of making a bit more money, the sales and all that. I can't remember what the like goal we set was, to be honest with you, but if we can somehow get 800 likes, if you guys like this sort of content, off-season sort of stuff, you know, if you like Guernsey rankings, let me know. Put your favorites down below and your least favorites. I also want to say this is a public tier maker, so if you want to make a video going through them all and have a different idea, different mindset, feel free to post it and at me, tag me, and I'll have a look, I'll comment, I'll go through your designs as well, I'll go through your opinions. But that'll be it for me for today's video. Prelim final week starts today. It feels like Melbourne's really buzzing around with finals, so I'll be making 2 videos at each of the games. If you see me there, let me know, and I'll see you soon in my next video.